Alright, welcome back YouTube to the next video in our how to make an FPS series in Unreal Engine 4. So we're going to be addressing how to pick up an object in third person. You know, we can already do that in first person. It's pretty seamless. You know, we've got a little pickup animation. You can't really see it. That is something you will be able to see in third person. If I reset it here, let's see, I pick it up and swap to our camera real quick, you can see we've got a pickup animation. It's pretty slow. So that'd be like more fun to see in actual third person, be able to swap back and forth, you know. But, you know, in third person, I can't even pick up right now. So I can, like, walk up, and our crosshairs, like, also in the middle of our body. It's, like, poorly placed camera, all that stuff. Third person is just kind of here is just, like, the built-in feature. We haven't really done too much work in it yet. So I kind of want to get that going because, you know, third-person stuff actually looks really nice. And even though I love first-person games, in my demo, kind of like what I train with in this series, I actually have the default as third person. Even though I design these around first person mechanics and all that, the default is third person when I spawn in. So it's just one of those things where it's up to taste and what you want to do. So if you don't want to do third person, you can skip all this, but you know, some stuff might not add up later in the series. Okay, so we've already got our pickup line trace and everything that we're going to need. You know, you can't actually see it too much, but you can see the red dot that's produced from the pickup line trace hitting the weapon. We're going to utilize that we've already implemented. Let's go to our character, and if you don't know how to do that, quick reminder, you can go to your world settings over on this panel and hit the magnifying glass on the default pawn class and find your character. Double click on it there, and here's all of our blueprints. Check the description for the playlist of this series if you're kind of lost here. So we can scroll down to where our tick is because we've set up object pickup check, where of course if we're near an object we can scan that scan where our camera is looking at for an object. Okay, so we've already got checking for the line trace, and we've got checking for which camera we're using. So we've already got the FPS camera running, but we don't have the third person camera doing anything. So we're going to do the same kind of thing. We're going to line trace for objects. I'm just going to duplicate that back here. And then we want the follow camera. I'm just going to duplicate this kind of thing here. But we want to replace this with follow camera. And replace this with our aim object. That's the FPP one. I think our third person. Oh, I guess we don't have. Oh, we don't have an aim object for a third person. Okay, that's fine. Well, so let's make that real quick. So to do that, we're just going to add a spring arm. And real quick, describing what this is, if you didn't see how we did this for a first person, it's basically, I'm kind of using like an object trick to like put an object really far out here. You can see for first person, we've got an object really far out here, which is basically, you know, thousands of units out for what the camera's looking straight at. And so we just kind of calculate that distance for what our player should be looking straight at. And of course it's bad with an idle animation, but we've removed that when we're in first person so that we can just shoot straight at where the camera is looking, which is what our crosshair is as well. And we just need to replicate that same kind of feature here. So I can just take this aim object FPP and the spring arm, Control C, and then click on the follow camera and Control V there. I should be able to, maybe not. Duplicate. Yep, okay, and then take these, and then, oh no, it did do it. Okay, it just was being weird. Okay. That, I just need you under there. Okay, and then we want it to be TPP. And we can name this or something, just so we can know. Random capitalization as well, for no good reason. Okay, let's zero out these locations, because they're not proper here. And the rotation is just fine. Okay, and then this object should be way far out. Okay, good. Okay. So, now we can go back. Let's compile this real quick and save up. Oh, wait. What does it say? Object type? Oh, yeah, because we haven't connected it to anything and finish what we need to do. So now we need to get aim object TPP, perfect, get the world location, and connect that to the end of our trace here, and connect the start to follow camera. So our object type should just be the same. And let's see, we're going to compile here, and then we're going to move on. I'm going to do a, let's see, I'm just going to leave blank here, blank space here for some other node we're going to add in a bit. So I'm going to cast, actually, hold on, we want our hit, so let's break this. Get our hit actor, cast to object master. If the cast failed, gonna delay for 0.2, set pickup item to nothing. We can just connect this here and collapse that. And then of course, if the cast is working, we're going to print string. We're just going to say, actually, I can copy it from here. You can pick up this item. Okay. And then I'm just going to make it, it's already blue. Set pickup item to none other than what we are looking at. So if you're a little lost, because I'm kind of just running through it, but I always stop and I explain because I don't want you to not know what you're doing. The point of this is for you to be able to make these on your own and not have to come back to these videos all the time. They're good to have here, but you should be able to go out and just make whatever comes to your mind and have these concepts in there. So if you can also reference back how we did this for first person. I can't remember the episode, but I'll try to remember to put it in the description. Basically what we're doing is we're shooting a laser, for lack of a better term, or a line trace straight from our third-person camera in this case, because we know we're using our third-person camera. This is basically picking that for us. And then we're getting the start location for the line and where the line should end. So we're basically shooting a big string or a big laser, and it's not colliding with anything but our objects, which is our the master component or object for our weapons and all that stuff. So it's only looking for that. And we can break the hit result because we're trying to hit something. We can break that result and specifically cast and call for our object master. Like I said, if it's not what we want, we'll just call our pickup item blank because it's not what we are looking for. And if it is, we can tell ourselves in a little string when we look at it, as seen previously, that you can pick up this item. So then it sets this item that we have detected and are looking at to be able to pick up. So now in third person, I should actually be able to see a laser flying around there, and then I can look at a gun. I kind of have to guesstimate, but now I can say you can pick up this item, and I should be able to hit E and pick up the gun in third person. Our crosshair is just poorly located. But that's what's kind of great about everything that we've already set up. It's pretty plug and play. All we had to do was just fill in those steps, but our camera, our pressing E, everything is already built in just the way it would for first person. But now, as long as our little line is looking at a weapon on the floor, we can do it in third person as well. It's hard to get that crosshair operating properly, but let's fix the crosshair, why don't we? Because we want to be able to actually see what we're doing. So let's go back to our character. I'm gonna save real quick, Control-Shift-S, and I'm gonna select my camera boom here. I'm gonna just modify a few values. You can take a look at what it's gonna do here. I'm going to change the arm length to 200, just want the camera a bit closer. And then our location, I just want to change that 10 just a little bit closer for where the center point is going to be, because it's really rotating around this. This is kind of what our camera's panning around. And then I want my Z to be 71. I don't want to look at his butt. There we go. Bald head time. And now let's just take a look at how that seems here. Alright, that looks a bit better. I can kind of aim at my thing, but I guess the line is pretty short. It seems like my line is having some issues projecting out. Hold on. So it was looking like I should have been able to just look at the gun and get a line trace like I am now, and it wasn't seeming to work properly before in that previous clip. So I've neglected to realize that the copy paste would default certain values. So the spring arm under our follow camera, like I demonstrated here, the TPP one, we need to turn off collision test. All this stuff is fine here. And then the aim object we added, we need to make sure physics is off, hit events should be off, overlap events should be off, step on no, and then I changed the preset to custom, collisions enabled no, and then just left that dynamic and checked ignore up here. And then I compiled that, saved that, and then now I can view it and pick things up properly through my head. So now let's change the cameras, because the cameras are kind of boring right now, right? First of all, whenever we pick up a gun, our camera doesn't change. Second of all, whenever we get within the field of a gun, our camera doesn't change and we can't really see properly, or any other item. Like even if this was like, say, a table and we were trying to look at an item, we're looking through our character's head. So let's change this. This is nice for cinematics and everything, but let's change this here. Let's go back to our character here, and I'm just going to close out all this garbage we have open from previous projects and good times. Don't need that either. Let's go back to our event graph and find a nice blank spot. I'm going to build wider since I seem to just keep building a tower. I'm just going to kind of go the other way. Let's see. I'm going to make a custom event, and we're going to call it... I kind of made a big name for it here. I'm just going to copy paste the name. But I called it Change Cam when near interactable object. Okay, and then we need another custom event with another long name for no good reason. It's just very descriptive. That is the only reason, because I'm like, these have a very unique name, and there's probably a better way than doing an event for this, I suppose, but that's the conclusion I came to. Okay, so this other one is Change Cam when away from interactable object. Pretty straightforward. So they're going to result in two different things. We're going to start them the same way, though. We're going to branch and ask if the item is equipped, or an item, rather. We've used this many times before. I'm just going to copy paste this down here. And then we need to... I just did this in a collapsed event branch node thing. So let me see. The best way to do this is probably get a sequence here. And I'm just going to highlight it, right-click it, and collapse node. And I'm going to call this transition TPP cam for interactions. So we can use this for any kind. I'm just using interactions and interactable object as like a generic term. We would probably want to like call this event whenever we come up to a player or a sign to read or different stuff like that, or a quest giver or something like that, a shop. And basically what this is gonna do, I'm gonna make this kind of just shift the camera. And I mean, you'll have seen the clip of the beginning here, but we're just gonna kind of like have the camera shift here, and it'll be real nice. So I'm gonna hop in here, and I'm gonna, on the input, add two inputs. One is going to be zoom in, the other's zoom out. They're gonna be executables, or whatever you want to call them. This sequence is going to go on the zoom out, and on zoom in we're going to go to do once. We want the second then one on this sequence to reset the do once, and then we want the do once to start a timeline. So let's do a timeline here, and I'm just going to call it timeline 0, whatever. We're going to play from start here, and then open the timeline, and we're going to create a float track, and we're going to just call it alpha, because that's what it's going to be modifying. It's going to be modifying the alpha specifically of some lerps, or linear interpolations. Okay, so we're going to add a key, and I'm going to have it be 0, 0. And then add another key, and I'm just right-clicking, sorry, right-click, add a key. And I'm going to add another key here and make it, let's see, 0.5, because that's the end time of our length time, and then value 1. So what this is doing here, there's these nice tools to size it up. What this does, in quick explanation, is when we interact with this and play it from the start, it has a little timeline that it goes across, and of course our timeline here is 0.5 seconds in length, and it produces a value. We can have this be a vector, an event, like having a trigger executable, a color, different stuff here. And we're just doing a float value, which means here, let me go back, it's just producing this, right? A number, a floating point variable. When it goes across this track, the value increases. As you can see, the value is going up as I hover across the timeline, as is the time, right? Basic trigonometry, I guess, kind of stuff, just timeline graph crap, whatever, math. And then it peaks here at a value of 1 and a time of 0.5, allowing us to modify values across time. We're going to start with getting our follow camera. Okay, and we're going to set the relative location based off of a lerp. This lerp is going to be 0 for this, and we're going to make a vector here and have it be 20 and 75 there, and then the z is going to be 0. This alpha will go there, and the update will go to the set relative. So over the period of time, it's going to set the relative location gradually, smoothing them between, or smoothly moving them between the current location and the next one. We're going to do the same thing with the rotation here. We're going to set relative rotation. We're going to do another lerp, and the alpha will be thus, and 0 for the A, and for the Y, I think we just want -6 on the Z here. Okay. Lastly, let's get our follow camera a third time and set our field of view. Once again, lerp. Our current field of view should be 90, and I'll show you how to check that here, and I'm going to have it zoom into 45. To check your field of view, just select your camera, and it should be right there, field of view. Alrighty. You can also do this based off of variables if you've got a lot of FOVs you're playing around with and whatnot, but, you know, this is just a basic, straightforward system. The alpha is, of course, going to be based off of our timeline's alpha, and that's all we need. Cool. On to the zooming out. We're basically going to do everything but opposite. And then I'm going to just do, play from start here. And then I just want that to be 45 to 90. I need my A to be -6 and this to be 0. And then just swap the A and B. Yep. Okay. That's all we need there. Let's just save that up. Let's see here. Now, if we can go back to our changing events here, and if we only want to do this if an item's not equipped, so we're just going to connect false to both of these, and hopefully we can just implement this and it will work. So to implement this, we need to go to our object pickup, and we've got something going on here we've got do pick up line trace false that we can play around with. So we want to do a do once here, and we actually want to also move this back and create a sequence so we can reset the do once. Okay. Now we need to change cam when away, so that way when we are not doing the line trace, we want the cam to pull back. And we only wanted to do that once per entry and exit because otherwise it's just going to spam and probably not work, or not work properly. And it'll just check that all the time because we're on a tick. And then on our third person camera, that placeholder that I mentioned, this is where we want to change cam when near. And of course we're not doing this in first person because we can see everything. Okay, so let's save up and see what happens in third person when we walk near. Oh yeah, that's what we want to see. And walk away, perfect. Walk near, walk away, perfect. Great. Just moves to the side, zooms in a lot actually, but a little bit. You can dial in those settings. You can dial in the let's see, the X is how close it is. Wait, where are we here? You can dial in these settings. The X on this. Okay, the B when we're moving in, the X20 is how close we are to the character's body. Negative would be further away. The Y is how much to the side we're moving, to the right. This rotation is very minor, but it's kind of just like, kind of turning the corner a little bit. It's very minor. You can play around with that. Same with the field of view. I've got it really intense. I could make it even more intense. I could make it be 20. And like really have it zoom in, right? I mean, like now I can't even see my player and it's just like all gun. I wouldn't necessarily want that or recommend that, but hey, you do you. So it's pretty versatile, and of course you can promote these all to variables and have them play around and be part of the God menu, which is something that we're going to totally set up. It's going to be pretty tedious, but it will totally be worth it. Okay, so we're missing one last thing. Let's see if y'all can spot it. We go, pick up, zooms in, pretty. We pick it up, and yeah, that's not quite what we want. It looks good, don't get me wrong. Like it gets the idea across, but it doesn't look great. And it kind of just looks like you got frozen in time, and I can't there's no dynamics to it, right? Okay, so let's fix that. Let's head back to our player here and go to our event graph. We can close this timeline. Let's find where we equip weapons. Equip. Ah, here we go. Okay, so let's make a little bit of space here. Okay. What I'm gonna do is when we are equipping a weapon that we want to hold, so we are unequipped and then we pick up a weapon, I want to actually just copy paste what we have here, the transition camera thingy. I should probably zoom in and show that in better detail. The thing that we just set up, the change camera, this transition, we can copy paste this, go back down to our interaction, paste it here, and I will do transition cam. I'll rename it when equipping. Cool. So we don't really need the zoom out. We'll just leave it there for whatever because we're not going to need it. So here at the beginning, at the input, you might have seen previously I kind of moved the output that was over here just near the input. Well, we're actually going to want to utilize that output. Let's go to the end of when we zoom in and just drag the field of view over the output, and it should add an executable. Let's head back to the event graph to connect that real quick so we don't forget. Zoom in here and the output to the delay. Okay, let's double click on it, go back in here. So what we want to do is transition the cam from our zoomed in perspective when we're picking an object off the ground, because we know that we're going to be in that object, or we're going to be in that position whenever we are picking something up. We can predict as well that that's what is going to be the camera's location and rotation and all that. So we can make the A 20 and 75 because that's how we're like zoomed in, right? Part of it at least. And then we can make the B something a bit different, which is, let's say, make vector here. I'm just gonna do 0, 0, 85, so we can like pull back from the 20 and 85, so we can just be a little bit further over and have more field of view for shooting and whatnot. And then we know that we're in -6, and I'm really just not gonna play around with that because that's actually a good rotation. So I'm just gonna skip the rotation here, and then let's see. This field of view, we are in 45, and we just want to head back to 90. Okay. And that should do it. We don't really need the zoom out. It's not going to get hit because we don't have it plugged into anything. So let's see what happens. Third person. Looks good. If you want an over-the-shoulder look all the time, go ahead, modify that and make those variables that way. I mean, it's totally up to you. We walk up in the range. Great. I can see my weapon better, what I'm picking. I'm going to hit E and pick it up, and I transition back nice and smoothly. Animation runs, and I can shoot and all that good. Still can't zoom in third person, but hey, that's not what we were doing today. We just wanted to make the kind of interaction process a little bit prettier. Since the first person one's kind of cut and dry and to the point, we just look at it and pick it up. The third person is nice to have that. And of course, since we're even that's what I love. It just, everything works in the background. Even though we were not observing our character in third person, our third-person camera still did what we programmed it to do. It is now in the position of properly over the shoulder in a better location for shooting when we weren't even in third person or looking at any of that. So it just happens, and all of your code kind of just like communicates well with each other, and that's kind of like the way I want everything to be, right? I don't want to have to do that much extra work than what I'm already doing. Alrighty, well, thank you for watching this video. I hope it helped. Please leave any recommendations in the comments. Join the Discord, join the Discord server, please, and check out my other videos. There's a playlist of this entire series where we set up our guns and picking them up, the physics, our health, taking damage and shield up in the top left, having an inventory. Check it all out. Subscribe, fun stuff. Thank you for watching.